Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys. Today we are going to be reviewing the new mythical champion, Embrys the Anomaly. I will be offering my thoughts on what he does, if he's any good. I've seen a couple other videos from content creators, and so today we are going to be checking him out for ourselves on the channel, and I will be offering you my thoughts. Guys, also today at 9 a.m. I will be live streaming Hydra. We're going to be testing Heraclides. And yeah, we're going to be testing Heraclides, doing some live Hydra runs, giving free advice, all the stuff. So please join me for that at 9 a.m. Your presence will be very, very welcome. But without further ado, let's get into Embrys the Anomaly. We were given his kit yesterday, so sorry I'm a bit late with that, but we're just going to go through it. I'm going to see, what he does, right? Attacks all enemies, destroys each target's max HP by 3%. Okay, that's not bad. Stacks up to 30%, all right. Also increases the duration of one random debuff on all enemies by one turn. This effect cannot be resisted if enemies have any necrosis stacks. Well, one random debuff on all enemies by one turn, that's not great. Can't be resisted, that's alright, but it's on a not great effect. Kind of an okay A1. It's certainly powerful, it's just not particularly useful, in my opinion. Places True Fear, the A2. Places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for one turn and a decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. These effects cannot be resisted if enemies have any necrosis stacks. And we still don't know what necrosis does. We don't know what necrosis does or necessarily how to get it. I assume he places it. Alright, great. Can't be resisted, True Fear, decrease attack. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't hit, that's good, but it's okay, right? Grants an extra turn, that's good. Extra turn is good. That's on a 5-turn cooldown. Alright. A3, this is still base form. Attacks all enemies, removes any stone skin, and replaces them with True Fear debuffs. That's interesting. The reason that that's interesting, first of all, could we kit? Second, I'm not sure the stone skin has a 50% chance to block that. If it's coded in such a way where this can't be blocked by stone skin, that's good. But if stone skin works normally, and it's a 50-50 shot, then that's kind of and replaces them with True Fear. I mean, that's good. You're swapping stone skin for crowd control. I mean, that's just good. But it really depends on if the stone skin works normally, which it probably does. Block debuffs buffs will be replaced with block buffs debuffs. I mean, that's cool. I like that. That's a decent effect right there. If it was just on a Lego and it just said attacks all enemies, removes all block debuffs and replaces them with block buffs, I mean, that would be a good skill. So yeah, that's a good ability there. Also removes any buffs positively affecting stats and replaces them with their mirrored debuff equivalent, such as increased attack being replaced with decreased attack. Buffs such as continuous heal and strengthen will be replaced with heal reduction and weaken debuffs respectively. Mirrored debuffs will have the same duration as the buffs before they were replaced. Okay, then steals 5% of each target's turn meter for each buff converted into a debuff by this skill. Also decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 20%. These effects cannot be resisted if enemies have any necrosis stats. That's a lot. He could get polymorphed a lot there. I'm not sure it'll do. It says removes any buffs positively affecting stats and replaces them with their mirrored debuff equivalent, such as. So, will it do drop defense? That is a question that we could ask. What will it do to ally protection? Maybe nothing. Is it only the ones mentioned, or are there other ones? Continuous heal doesn't affect stats. Strengthen doesn't affect stats. Weaken doesn't affect stats. Heal reduction doesn't affect stats. So, is it only increase attack and decrease attack? Or, there's increased speed. That positively affects stats, increase defense, increase attack, increase resistance, right? What's going on here? This isn't particularly clear, right? Um, but, the more he does do, the more chance he has to be polymorphed, right? So it's kind of a meh. It's definitely cool for waves, but I'm not sure about like PvP arena type of thing. Um, but hey, it's at least cool. You can build him in feral and pinpoint, and then he'll block the polymorph, I guess. Steals 5% of each target's turn meter for each buff converted into a debuff. Okay. That's cool. He's got a turn meter increase that makes him vulnerable to Torment, but, it's good. Also decreases turn meters of all enemies by 20%. That's nice. That's nice. Again, you build him in Feral and Pinpoint. Um, right? And then, of course, you go in with this, and then everything will polymorph him, right? But, so I'm not... Maybe the Pinpoint isn't even enough, right? So then he's got a Metamorph, and then he's got a passive, right? Whenever an enemy is killed, places one Necrosis stack on all other enemies. Necrosis stacks cannot be resisted or blocked. Necrosis stacks can only be removed by reviving dead allies. So either he kills someone or your nuker kills someone. Everyone else gets a Necrosis stack, enabling the rest of his kit. So you probably want him to go after your nuker. It might pair well with Heraclides, honestly. Does not work against bosses and their minions. Alright. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, this effect will only activate once. At the start of this champion's turn, instantly activates any Necrosis stacks on all enemies. Start and end of his turn. Instantly activates any Necrosis stacks on all enemies. So do they get the Necrosis stack before, like, he applies his debuffs? Because if he's activating them all at once, they won't have any by the time he gets into these cannot be resisted. If he's activating at the start of his turn, they don't have any, sets any Necrosis stacks, so that he has to kill someone, which places a Necrosis stack, and then the debuffs happen? Or is it the debuffs happen, then place a Necrosis stack, then activate the Necrosis stack? Depending on the order that this is done in, that could be terrible. That could be really terrible. Depending on also what Necrosis does. We don't have it. But yeah, that's kind of bad. Not going to lie. Unless it's like only activating one. So if you kill multiple people, but it does say any. I don't know. It's kind of weird. All right, so then we metamorph, right? We have an alternate form. A1 attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target has any Necrosis stacks, which they won't. unless someone else comes in who can place Necrosis, maybe. Also places block revive if this attack kills an enemy. That's nice. That's nice. Attacks all enemies on the A2, deals double damage to enemies whose accuracy is lower than this champion's accuracy, nukers. Also ignores 50% of each enemy's defense, whose accuracy is equal to or higher than this champion's accuracy. So you're going to want accuracy because he's never going to get the Necrosis stacks. So you're going to want him to build him with accuracy. So that's fine. Also, in the event that I got that wrong, you're still going to want accuracy. Okay. Okay. Ignores 50% of each enemy's defense whose accuracy is equal to or higher than this champion's accuracy. So you're either dealing double damage or ignoring defense. Both could be good. I mean, it's kind of a okay skill. I'd rather it just do one thing rather than two things. But okay, sure. It's okay. It's a good skill. It'll at least hit hard. Swaps HP with an enemy on the A3. If the target is a boss, fully restores this champion's destroyed max HP and fully heals this champion instead. Okay. Each time the skill is used, increases the champion's ignore defense effect by 10% while in their alternate form. Stacks up to 50%. So he could potentially ignore 100% defense on the A2. And, that's it, because the first effect doesn't have it, ignore defense. Oh, goodness. Grants an extra turn. If he hits hard, it's okay. if he requires the ramping, maybe not. Okay, so then he's got the metamorph, and then he's got a passive here. When this champion dies, reflects damage equal to 50% of the fatal hit back to the attacker, including any surplus damage. That's good. So okay. So with that, think about it. Maybe you just build him to die. Like you build him with like no HP. He dies, and then he just kills whoever hit him. That could be fun, actually. No stone skin, no speed. You may be able to do speed. He just metamorphs. Actually, you could do speed, but no HP. He metamorphs, and then he dies. Okay, that's an interesting concept, at least. Whenever an enemy is killed, places one necrosis stack on all other enemies. Necrosis stacks cannot be resisted or blocked. Necrosis stacks can only be removed by reviving dead allies. This effect does not apply against bosses and their minions, so bosses and their minions can't have necrosis stacks. Okay. If this champion is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts that hit and instantly places a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. That's on a 5-turn cooldown. Okay, I like the passive. The passive is fun. The active effect, I assume, has the cooldown, not the passive effect. It's okay. You know, I'm not incredibly impressed. There's just so much going on. It's like, well, do you build him with high accuracy or low accuracy? You know, how does this necrosis thing work? We're gonna have to wait and see, I think, on this guy. You know, if he hits hard, that's good. If he's a damage dealer, that's good. You know, there are certainly the block revive always has utility. The extra hit, if he can even get it off, has utility. Which in this form he should be able to get off the necrosis because he's not instantly activating it, right? Like on the first form here, he's instantly activating it, but and that'll happen when he metamorphs back down. So if you manage to get into the second form and you metamorph back, he will instantly activate it, which means he can't do any of his abilities. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. It's terrible, guys. First form, not a fan. Okay. Unless you're going to build him with good accuracy, in which case, okay, great. First form, not a huge fan, though. It doesn't synergize, or it doesn't read like it synergizes. If it doesn't work like this, the way it reads like it works, it's fine. But if it says what I think it's saying, it's quite terrible. And of course, he's a huge polymorph target, so you got to pick your poison here. I think this skill is really good. Right? I think this A3 is very good. It needs the accuracy, but, you know, very good. Of course, the True Fear will be good for the clan boss. The A1 is kind of okay here, right? So my final thoughts is we're going to have to wait and see to see how all this works, okay? The first form doesn't look good right now, except that A3, which I think will have some utility, assuming there's no polymorph in play, right? He'll be good at least for, like, you know, middle of the road people who just aren't against the 6-star polymorph every time in arena. And then the second form, if it hits hard, it's fine. If it doesn't, especially if the A1 hits hard. If the A1 hits hard, it's fine. If the A1 doesn't hit hard and the A2 doesn't hit hard, he's gonna be terrible. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think that the buffs the buff debuff swap thing is cool. The stone skin removal is cool. But you know, I think that's really the highlight here. I think that's really the highlight of the kit. And then, of course, whatever a necrosis stack does when it's activated. If the necrosis stack does something good when it's activated, yeah, that's great. That should completely change my mind. But I don't know what that does. As to my knowledge, that has not been released. I think this passive is cool as well. So he's got something good on both forms, right? Second form's better, in my opinion. This is a very good ability, though. So he's got something good on both forms. We'll have to wait and see to see how he works, to see if he's any good. He's a mythical. He's a free champion. I say go get him. You can't go wrong with a free mythical. That's good champion chase points too. So definitely invest in him, in getting him. But we'll have to wait and see to see if he's good. We'll have to wait and see to see if he's good. Those are my thoughts. He could be good, right? Depending on how this skill works, depending on how the necrosis stuff works, right? He could be good. But we're gonna wait and see. All right, guys. I have been Felrus. Thank you for watching my video. I will see you all at 9 a.m. later today. Until then, have a great day.